good afternoon. It's been 4 uninterrupted weeks of Christian-centered current affairs programming here on Wesleyan TV, I should say. And this afternoon we are wrapping up with a very exciting conversation. Don't forget that we started on the 1st of May. Today is the 31st of May, and I have been so excited. We've been happy with your company, for your feedback, and for all the exciting interactions that we've had. This afternoon we're going to focus on a thorny and trending issue. On Wednesday, we bit on it, but this afternoon we are digging deeper. My name is Paa Kwesi Schandorf. We'll be right back with more.
Sorry, not shrink.
Wake up to a purposeful day.
Get ready for a transformational morning experience.
Sorry Shrine is here to build our spirituality, mental and physical well-being.
Through positive, inspiring actions and stories.
We bring you exciting activities and conversations that develop us as a people and as a nation.
We take a look at the trending issues in Ghana and the rest of the world.
And we also review the impacting stories from our local newspapers.
Every morning, we bring you stories of hope, change, and renewal.
We empower you through the Word of God and provoke you to live the purposeful life destined for you.
Join us, Anita Kwako
and the Reverend 𝗟𝗑𝗩𝗘 Monday to Friday from 5:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. as we take you on an inspiring journey, live and exclusively on WTV.
You may also join us on Facebook at WTV Ghana and on YouTube at Wesleyan TV Ghana.
Sorry, not shrine.
Wake up to a purposeful day.
Sorry Not Shrine is brought to you by
Danwell Insurance, Multi-Credit Savings and Loans,
and the Methodist University Ghana.
Praise God, praise God. Christ in tea, you respond, yeah, addition. I'm excited to announce to you, friends in the Lord, are you seeking for a platform where you can pray? Open baby up a soul bomb pie. Now ninyami edi inkita home. Bibi so. And I'm na the same kum. And you're coming home. Let's go into the prayer room on WTV every Friday 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. to meet seasoned ministers of God that God has raised to impact your life. Remember, John Wesley said, I have too much to do, therefore I spend several hours in prayer in able to do it. That is why we are calling upon you. Meet myself, Reverend 𝗟𝗪𝗘, and the Evangelism Missionary Renewal Directorate as we lead you into the prayer room where we encounter Christ. And I believe your life will never be the same. Call your friends, your loved ones every Friday 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. where we will encounter Christ. God bless you. See you on our screens on WTV every Friday 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. God bless you.
Lord, we pray that each and every one of us
It's the last working day of the week, Friday, of course, and this also happens to be as well the last day in the month of May. Now, May is significant on this platform because it was in this particular month that we opened the chapters and the explosive corridors of the state. We began everything on the 1st of May. Don't forget that we started first with the presiding bishop of the Methodist Church Ghana, and thereafter we've had a lot of prominent individuals across academia, industry, politics, and relevant discussants. And of course, we are grateful to all of them. Today, we are wrapping up the month of May with a very topical issues that has featured excessively on the shelves of public discourse, and that has gotten to do with the ambulance trial. On Wednesday, we had a bite on it. Today, we're going to delve deeper, and before we do that, it's now time for us to serve you W Briefs. This is also a very prominent introduction or feature of the show, where at every given point, we tell you the relevant facts surrounding the issues that we always choose to discuss. So today, we're going to get into the details of the conversation that we have itemized, the ambulance trial saga. Now, let me just get to the fine details. Now, the ambulance trial, beg your pardon, which commenced in December 2021, involves a charge of allegedly causing financial loss of 2.37 million to the state. So essentially, the trial involves some individuals who the state says that, well, they have caused financial loss to the state to the tune of 2.37 million euros. Now, the trial also relates to a contract to purchase some 200 ambulances for the country between the year 2014 and 2016. Now, at the time when the charges came up, apart from the Deputy Finance Minister then, Dr. 𝗟𝗓𝗓𝗘, who is currently the minority leader in Parliament, a chief director at the Ministry of Health was also implicated. But in the course of time, the Attorney General filed a nolle prosequi, which effectively exempted him from the prosecution. So now we just have the Deputy Finance Minister back then, and then a businessman, Richard Jakpa. Now, the minority leader and the then Deputy Minister for Finance, Dr. 𝗟𝗓𝗓𝗘, together with Sylvester, so that's the point I was making earlier, Sylvester Anemana, a former chief director of the Ministry of Health, and Richard Jakpa, a businessman, were charged by the state. So these are the three characters who initially were charged. But of course, as we speak, the chief director is out of the conversation. Now, what were the charges? The first one included willfully causing financial loss to the state. This is one of the charges that the AG brought against them. Also, abetment to willfully cause financial loss to the state. So that is 1, 2. I'm going to show you the rest very soon. Also, contravention of the Public Procurement Act, that also featured. And then intentionally misapplying public property. So we've counted up to 4. Let's proceed and let's move on. Now, the trial recently took a different twist, and that was because the third accused person, Richard Jakpa, accused the AG of approaching him to help implicate Dr. 𝗟𝗓𝗓𝗘. Now, this happened somewhere last week, Thursday, in court, where Richard Jakpa dropped what some described as an explosive bombshell, because right in the face of the proceedings, in the run of events, he made a very daring, should I say, remarkable accusation that the AG has actually been trying to buy him in so that he falsifies his evidence in order to have the minority leader, Dr. 𝗟𝗓𝗓𝗘, jailed. Now, there have been subsequent press conferences and counter press conferences on the latest twist to what has become the ambulance trial. So effectively, we've heard the National Democratic Congress make a number of allegations. We've also heard the NPP rebut in that respect. In fact, on this Tuesday in particular, we saw what the NDC revealed. We saw the audio recording, if you want to put it that way, or the purported phone call conversation between Richard Jakpa, the third accused, and the Attorney General, which ostensibly was seeking to suggest that the Attorney General had been attempting to buy the third accused, or to, if you like, coerce him to falsify evidence to prosecute the minority leader. The NPP has rubbished that conversation. They have treated it with disdain. They've insisted that the tape itself was doctored. Now, several groups and individuals have also called for the AG to resign from his position in the wake of the allegations. So the allegations have been tabled, they've been flying, and several individuals feel that in the midst of it all, the AG should be out of office. Now, we're going to take you to some of the individuals who so far have been insisting vehemently and advocating strongly and passionately that the Attorney General does not deserve to be in office. Professor 𝗟𝗓𝗓𝗘 is a D&D fellow in public law and justice at CDD Ghana. He's one of the prominent faces who has been calling for the Attorney General to resign. But apart from him, Kweku Ansah-Asari, a former director the former Director General, I beg your pardon, of the Ghana School of Law, has also been making the same suggestion. Both of them are in the legal fraternity. And then, of course, 𝗟𝗵𝗏𝗧𝗵𝗏𝗘, an avowed critic of government, and of course, our friend here, he is a private legal practitioner. He too has joined the call. So, lawyer 1, 2, 3, I mean, all of them. Then again, we have 𝗟𝗑𝗩𝗘𝗓, an associate professor at the University of Ghana Law School. He too is in the legal fraternity. So all of these legal faces have been calling for the Attorney General to resign from office because they feel that the allegations alone, as it were, stain his reputation and defile, if you want to put it that way, his integrity. Arise Ghana has also been in the core. Arise Ghana has also been in the core, and this afternoon we'll be speaking to their co-convener as part of our discussants, the National Democratic Congress. In fact, it is the NDC that initiated the cause in the very first place, or that brought the accusations and the matters to the fore. We've also heard this group, they call themselves Lawyers in Search of Democracy. They'll be speaking to us shortly after this presentation. They too have been calling for the resignation of the Attorney General. But the big question, you don't try a man in the midst of allegations, neither do you judge him. At any given time, you have to hear both sides of the issue. And that is why the New Patriotic Party, having made all their defenses that the tape itself is doctored, we now come to the point where we want to interrogate whether the calls are justified or not. So here it is. The NPP has, however, come out to state emphatically that the AG is going nowhere. The party's Director of Legal Affairs, Frank Davis, made this strongly on Tuesday, where he addressed the press. The Deputy AG has affirmed this position. So the NPP has said the Attorney General is going nowhere. The Deputy Attorney General has also confirmed this position. And so clearly a clash of opinions and thoughts. So the big question this afternoon is that should 𝗟𝗑𝗩𝗘𝗓𝗓 resign in the wake of 𝗟𝗑𝗩's allegations and the subsequent calls for his resignation? Some have even said that the president should outrightly dismiss him. It's now time for us to go on a quick breather. When we come back, I'll introduce my discussants and then we'll delve into the gravamen of this afternoon's conversation. Don't go anywhere. All right, it's time for us to get into the substance of our conversation this afternoon. Earlier, we were bringing you up to speed with the fine facts surrounding this very controversial development. For those of you who are just joining in, the crux of the conversation is simple. Ghana's Attorney General is being asked to resign, and the basis of that call is because, well, the NDC put out a purported recorded conversation between himself and the third accused in the ambulance trial, where he ostensibly was seeking to coerce the third accused to, as it were, falsify evidence to incriminate the minority leader, Dr. 𝗟𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪�ึ for certain. Are the calls justified or not? That is the question we'll be answering on this platform this afternoon. And to do this, we'll be joined via Zoom by Mr. 𝗟𝗓𝗏𝗧𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 NPP. He's one of the prominent advocates and, as it were, advocates and public. It's one of the active. 𝗟𝗏𝗦𝗓 is one of the active, if you like, political campaigners here in Ghana, and currently the co-convener for Arise Ghana. As and when he joins, we'll go ahead and acknowledge him in that particular respect. Apart from him, we'll also be joined by 𝗟𝗑𝗪𝗓. George is a member of the NPP's national communication apparatus. George, are you able to hear us?
Yes, Schandorf, I can hear you.
All right, George is joining us via Zoom. George, we would appreciate if you're able to turn on your camera so that we feature you on our screens.
Yes, I have.
Okay, thank you very much. We're grateful. We'll also be joined this afternoon by one of the, a rep from one of the groups who is calling for the resignation of the Attorney General, Sadat Haruna Hassan, is with the Lawyers in Search of Democracy, LINSOD. Sadat, are you with us this afternoon?
Yes, I'm online.
Okay. All right. Sadat, kindly turn on your camera as well so that we are able to feature you just like we have done in George's case. But of course, we are waiting for the arrival of Bernard Mona, who is also joining us via Zoom to get into the conversation. But gentlemen, we are grateful that you are able to connect with us on this platform. I want to start off with you first, George 𝗟𝗵𝗃, because your party has made the case that the allegations by the National Democratic Congress are steeped in, as it were, manipulations, and the tape itself is not original, or so to speak. It is doctored. From all the controversies and all that you have gleaned from the development, do you think there is any cause, or rather any justified concern in the very first place from the NDC?
Okay, thank you very much, and a very good afternoon to you, your team, and your lovely viewers across the world. I think that it's important for us to look at these matters in the right perspectives. First and foremost, what is at stake? What is happening? What is happening is that there's a matter before the courts, and then the Attorney General is pursuing the matter, and the Attorney General has presented the evidence before the courts. And so in line with how Ghana's jurisprudence is and how the court systems works and how the adjudicatory process works in this country, just like how the honorable judge admonished commentators and every other person across the world in the course of the week, that we should stick to what we know as the court processes. So personally, I think that the concentration should be what is happening in court. If we have issues that we want to pursue, we should pursue them using the appropriate measures. You will recall, Schandorf, that when matters come up, there's what we call the right forum. And so, for example, if I think that I have issues against the Attorney General, I think that I want to impugn his reputation whatsoever, there is appropriate for him to do that. If I feel that he has misconducted himself, the avenue is not the court of public opinion. We will not get any results if we sit on TV or if we go to press conferences, whatever. We will not get any results from there. So there are avenues for challenging and getting some of these answers. So if any lawyer of any status misconducts himself allegedly, or is involved in something that we feel is something that could call for such, one, we could go to the General Legal Counsel. Two, we could go to the Disciplinary Committee of the Ghana Bar Association, or we could take up a full-blown case at any of the Superior Courts. You remember that if you take a look at Article 33 of Ghana's Constitution, the right forum for following up human rights cases and all is the High Court. So definitely, there are the right forums for pursuing every legal matter in our current dispensation. Unless, of course, we just want to do the politics of the day, where MPP is looking at safeguarding their interests at the party, and NDC is looking at making political capital and make the government of the day unpopular. Then we can just go around with all these political gymnastics. But if we want to get to the finality of the matter, then we have to go by the appropriate means. But I will say one thing. If you look at Mr. 𝗟𝗏𝗃, and if you want to look at some of the underpinnings why people are out there to get his head, for me, I think it's primarily based on the sterling performance that he has had as an Attorney General. This is the same Mr. 𝗟𝗏𝗃 who saved Ghana over 1 billion Ghana cedis in the case of African Automobile versus the Ministry of Employment and Manpower. In this particular case, someone was allegedly supposed to have done some work for the country. A judgment debt was awarded because the contract was cancelled. And this country was supposed to suffer some 1.27 billion Ghana cedis in payments of judgment debt. Mr. 𝗟𝗏𝗃 fought in the interest of the state, and we ended up paying just 14,000 Ghana cedis. In that particular case, there are similar of such examples, and he saved the country over 10 billion Ghana cedis. And for me, I think that this is someone whose work ethic shows how well and how vociferous he is ready to go in protection of the state's interest. He could have just sat and roof, and the country would have lost over 10 billion in judgment debt. And so, and if you want to look at the politics of the situations as well, you would want to look at where and when or under which regime these judgment deaths were awarded, then you would understand why people are out there for a say. But for me, I think that beyond the political rhetorics whatsoever, matters of legality ought to be addressed in the courts and nowhere else. If anybody has any issues whatsoever to deal with the conduct or any allegations that have been leveled against the Attorney General, there is a right forum. In any case, I am surprised that some of our lawyers who have spoken have so far turned a blind eye to Article 18.2 of our Constitution, Schandorf. And you know that in this country, I cannot call you Schandorf today, have a conversation with you, and infringe upon your rights, record the conversation, spin it around to create whatever bars I want to create, and the next moment you're supposed to be hanged because a dog is just supposed to be given a bad name in hand. And for me, I think we need to move on from that. And genuinely, if people think that they have a strong case against the Attorney General, there's a right forum for that. I think they should pursue to help our democratic process, and then going forward, I'm sure he'll also give the necessary response, and we can take it up.
I get your point, but you seem to be making the case that because the Attorney General, of course, in the performance of his duty has served the nation well, his current conduct should not be, as it were, interrogated. If you have listened to
No, that's not the point, Schandorf. That's not the point. I have said two things. Now, I have told you about how well he has served the interest of the state. One, by protecting the public purse, ensuring that unnecessary judgment debts are not paid. He saved the country over 10 billion Ghana cedis. In addition to that, I am saying that if anyone has issues with his conduct, if anyone has issues that he needs to answer to, in order to help our jurisprudence and help our democratic process, such matters should be taken up in the appropriate forum. Schandorf, you as a journalist, if I feel that you've done something untoward that needs to be addressed, I cannot come to your studio and attack you. I will not sit on Facebook and attack you, but rather I'll write a petition to the National Media Commission, which has the constitutional powers to superintend over media activities. Do you understand? And that will be the appropriate forum. You remember that at some time ago, about 4 or 5 years ago, Manasa Zuri published a documentary that government disagreed with. Government, through the Ministry of Information, sent a petition to the National Media Commission, and then appropriate sanctions were determined. And that is what I mean by the appropriate forum. Today, if two military men have a dispute, or you have a dispute with a military person and it gets to the attention of the military high command, or that matter has to be adjudicated, the right forum for that kind of adjudication would be a court-martial of the Ghana Armed Forces and nowhere else. So all I'm saying is that matters that concern certain persons where there is a legally determined forum for redress, let us take up those things if we are interested in the finality of the matter. Unless, of course, it's politics as usual and we just want to create a buzz and make some noise and get our followers to be happy and just be clapping here and there. But if we are interested in the finalities of the matter, I think that we need to go through the appropriate processes. So, for example, Schandorf, today, if you don't agree to any constitutional matter, if you think that there is any part of our laws that needs to be changed, you can't change them on your set. You would have to go to the Constitution.
Hello, George. It appears that we are having just some challenges with 𝗟𝗵𝗏𝗧. But 𝗟𝗏𝗏𝗧 has just been making the case that, yes, even if there's a matter to be tried, that matter should not be in the court of public opinion. Let me now come to you. Of course, I'm very sure you'd share a different opinion on this matter. Sadat Haruna Hassan. Sadat, you have been calling for the Attorney General to be out of office, if you like, be dismissed. What's the basis? Is it merely because the NDC has leveled an allegation?
Good afternoon, Schandorf, and good afternoon to your cherished listeners. First and foremost, let me recognize my co-panelists. I understand Mr. 𝗟𝗏𝗏𝗏 was supposed to be part of this team, but in the meantime, it appears I can't see him, so I also will say hello to him. Now, some of the issue in question here has to do with how democracy should work. And democracy working in our particular circumstance, as well as in search of democracy, we are saying that in a democratic state such as ours, we must allow the institutions, we must allow the law, we must allow the rules, we must allow the regulation to work. And this cannot just work by themselves. There must be a triggering point. And so, for instance, I give you this scenario. If there is something to be done to the Constitution, even if the ordinary man sees it as problematic, and we feel so strongly that something needs to be done about it, we cannot just keep quiet and look at a document called the Constitution to effect the desired change on its own. Naturally, it will take the ordinary person to raise that genuine concern. It will take sometimes even the judicial or even the judicial judges themselves to engage in what we call judicial advocacy. They may just be making some comments or recommendations in court. Those recommendations may end up being a very necessary part of the law. And so when lawyers like lawyers in search of democracy, our case, will join in the song of calling out some particular persons to act in a manner that is befitting of their office, to act in manners that comply with democratic principles. We are only trying to enrich the democratic government that we find ourselves. And so this is just a time to tell you that we are not just calling for the Honorable Attorney General Godfrey Dame to resign simply because A or B has called for his head. We are making that call on the backdrop of our strong desire for democratic practices. Now, if you look at the case in question now,
so that just before you proceed with the rest of your submissions, of course, you belong to a fraternity of lawyers, legal practitioners, and I'm compelled at this point to throw to you one of the canons of natural justice, or one of the principles that regulates, if you like, legal discourses, or the 𝗟𝗓𝗏 pattern, that at every given point when there is a matter, the other side has to be heard. As of now, it's only the NDC that has leveled an allegation. We've not heard substantively from the Attorney General. Is it therefore not unfair for you to ask him to resign just because an accusation has been leveled against him?
Okay, so that's a very interesting point. Now, you must first and foremost recognize that the office of the Attorney General is a very distinguished office. The Attorney General office is a creature of the Constitution. And recognize that the Constitution is in law of the land. And so when the Constitution creates something, it tells you that your skills is attached to that particular creation. Now, the sole officer or public official in charge of instituting all criminal proceedings on behalf of the state. And so in this particular instance, we are dealing with a criminal matter that involves the liberties of individuals. So that's where you should start from. Now, if it's that case created, the office created under the Constitution, it's not just the Attorney General alone, but under the same Constitution, he's also required to be the Minister for a Minister of State. Secondly, that's what you should recognize. And thirdly, under the same Constitution, he's actually the principal legal advisor to the government. And so that tripartite arrangement ought to be appreciated. And we're saying there is not just a mere contract between one person and another at private level. This is a case where an Attorney General is handled on behalf of the state, and then putting into perspective somebody's liberty. Because once the person is eventually condemned, simply has his liberties curtailed. And so look at it from that perspective. Your duties in a very impartial manner, distinguishable manner, then it beholds on you as Attorney General. Once such matters have come up, to simply resign honorably. Because in that case, what it means is that there's no way the defendant in question or defendant in question in this case will ever see the prosecution as one being prosecuted without prejudice. And so that is the principle underpinning this. And in some other jurisdictions, why this matter has come up like that, even though the IG, as you are saying or suggesting, needs to be heard, but we cannot be heard when the matter is still ongoing.
Yes, so that is the unfairness that I have consistently been concerned about, and it's not even just about the AG. I mean, other public office holders. Should we encourage a system where people resign from office or suspend the execution of their regular roles simply because an allegation has been leveled against them? Is it not unfair? Because people can fabricate stories. Indeed, we have heard the NPP say strongly that the tape that is even in circulation is doctored. If the forensics prove that truly it is doctored and the AG has already maybe stepped aside, I mean, what is going to be the circumstance of bringing him back? All of that inconvenience. Is it not reason enough for him to still be at post until the matter is properly determined?
Yes. So the issue is not just about unfairness. The issue rather should be looked at in terms of the conduct of public officials. It simply means that you don't put yourself in a situation that will give rise to that. I mean, he's not the only public official. Those who haven't traveled themselves in that situation. Nothing like that has come up. So what you should be guided by is the fact that once you are a public official entrusted with that big responsibility of acting in the interest of the state, you don't lower the bar or reduce the standard by engaging in a manner that will require that you even resign in the first place. And indeed, we are seeing this issue of resign as a problem because we seem to be lacking the principle. Otherwise, in some other jurisdictions, nobody will need to tell you to resign. Once that matter comes up, and the matter is such that it borders on the integrity of the individual, at that point in time, you should honorably resign. You don't need to have civil society organizations like Linson calling on your resignation. And so the issue should not just be looked at in terms of how probably unfair it will be. Even if you resign, and then investigations are conducted, and you are subsequently, bodies vindicated that nothing untoward was done. Nothing prevents anybody, the appointing authority, from appointing you probably to the same place or elsewhere. There's no such limitation. There's no nothing, to the rest of my knowledge, that is the ones you have done, and eventually you are genuinely fled. You cannot be stopped. No, there's nothing like that. It's just because we haven't gone that extra mile.
We've not seen that before. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's what we are calling to. We must have proper democratic practices, and we must have these practices actually being put into proper use, so that other people or other states can even copy exactly what we are doing. We cannot just be interested in having people copy things that we have. But even if they do not do just same, but they constitute what this rise to proper democratic practice. Why can't we do that?
All right.
So that is the angle we are attacking.
Your angle is well assimilated, and so clearly opinions are sharply divided. 𝗟𝗓𝗏 is a member of the National New Patriotic Party's communication team. He was making the earlier point that there's no basis, as it were, for the courts in the very first place, and even if there was reason for the Attorney General to resign, it should be exhausted through the appropriate courts. But Sadat from Linson clearly disagrees with him. George, we understand, is not connected with us, and so I think we'll still stay on Sadat a bit more to pick his thoughts on the matter. Don't forget that we'll also be joined shortly by Bernard Mona, who is the convener for Arise Ghana, and his part of the individuals that we've lined up for the conversation this afternoon. Sadat, I'm coming back to you with a related question, and that in as much as we do not want to get into the merit or the cracks of the matter itself, this is one of the relevant issues that have come up in the course of the public discussions. We do understand clearly that the third accused has proposed to pay the sum involved, the sum that appears to have been wasted. He is wanting to restitute in that particular respect. The reaction we know from the Attorney General is an emphatic no. Do you think it's a move that is appropriate? So somebody commits a blunder, as it were, in that context, and the fellow says that, look, I understand that A or B may have gone, wrong, or may have been executed in error. I want to compensate. I'm paying back the money. If you were the Attorney General, would you embrace such a suggestion from an accused in a civil matter of this nature?
Yeah, thank you so much. This is the plea bargaining act. Against the man. These things have gone so long in some other places. We just had our part not too long.
Yeah.
The essence that, as Michael pointed out, is to ensure that the state doesn't actually lose some revenue or some finance. And so once such laws are passed, if at any point in time the accused person, and just to put it on record, there have been a number of concerns that there hasn't been any plea bargaining arrangement properly initiated by the defendant in question to the Attorney General. That's what the records give as it stands. Because even the third accused, Mr. Japa himself, I haven't heard him say it anyway, and I have not seen where I see any record establishing that the plea bargaining negotiations were actually initiated or started. But just to let you understand that plea bargaining is a very fine instrument that can be used to recover money's lost. They are not necessarily fully described as compensations. You see, it's a negotiation that you go into with probably the Attorney General to say that, well, you are bringing these charges against me in respect of some probably contract that I entered into with the state, for which reason some losses were occasioned, against the state. And so what you bring is the state at that point in time simply is saying that cause a certain loss to the state. Now, under that act, what you can do is to say that, well, once you are determined to get the money, because after all, it's not just about taking people to prison. The person goes to prison. If you are to take the person to prison, he goes to prison, serve the sentence required, and if probably the period ends, the person comes out and starts to enjoy the money. What about that? Is that what you get to do? And so the law has rather been framed in such a manner to ensure that the state doesn't lose, because the state doesn't really get anything from prison. Even though it's not to be condemned outrightly, because it also serves as a punitive measure to prevent people from doing so subsequently. But the ultimate is, once the money is involved are such huge amount, you will go under that arrangement and then tell the state, well, under the circumstances, I am willing to ensure that whatever you think has gone down the drain for no results given by way of being the outcome of the contract that we entered into. And willing to more or less refund those monies or pay back those monies, in satisfaction of whatever losses that you claim the contract has occasioned. And then you go into the negotiation. And in fact, it's actually a very interesting negotiation that you go into, which involves the parties. The Attorney General will be involved, the parties involved will be involved, even if they are 2 or 3 or even more. It doesn't matter the number of, but they involved, of course, their counsels as well. Their counsel will be involved. If there are also 3, 4, or 5 counsels involved, each of all these counsels will be involved. Together with the judge, of course, they initiate, but you must first indicate to the Attorney General that you intend to what? To initiate a plea bargaining negotiation.
Yes, that's the point I'm making, that we have understanding that Richard Jakpa has made that indication known to the AG. Unfortunately, the AG has refused it. That's the point we are making. Is it not concerning that the Attorney General would rather refuse that suggestion?
So the question is, there should be evidence that, for normally when you initiate that negotiation, you put it on paper, you do that in written form. You don't probably just do verbal. It is only in court that you may say that. Well,
no, it has actually come up. There are documents to that effect. It has actually come up. I mean, Richard Ďakpa has actually initiated those conversations. Plea bargaining is actually on the table.
Yes. So if the Attorney General is saying that it was initiated, it is for him to simply make these documents available so that people will see and know that, well, indeed it was initiated. But like I said, where I see, I have not actually had the benefit to refer to the issue. I've not had the benefit of citing that document. And so that's why I'm saying that the Attorney General must make it public. You know, we can make it public and people will know that we need to initiated. But where we are, there's nothing to have. This is a matter that involves him as an individual officer in this case. It's even demanding that he resigns honorably, like I said. If indeed they want the prosecution continue in a manner that will appear to be devoid of prejudice, to propriety. You know, remember they can make some kind of improprieties in a trial. And normally when there are improprieties in a trial, they need to mistrial. And this aspect is that I would even describe it as prejudice mistrial. It means that while the improprieties occur in the process of the trial, such that they substantially and irreparably prejudice the fair trial of the defendant, such that the defendant, it will be impossible for him, for the defendant's case, to receive fair hearing or an impartial verdict. Ordinarily, the trial should occasion. But
all right.
like I said.
All right. So that I want to take a breather here. Clearly, there's a lot more for you to say, but we want to take a breather here. When we come back, we'll get the rest of your opinions, and hopefully, we'll be expecting that the other two discussants will join for the conversation to be on. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Nyansa ashese 𝗟𝗓𝗓𝗏. Let the little children come to me and do not hinder them. Matthew chapter 19 verse 14. Oh yes, let the little children join hands with WTV every Sunday for a special children's service with the Methodist Church Ghana at 10 a.m. with repeat at 2 p.m. on WTV and Facebook. Nyasa ashese 𝗟𝗓𝗓𝗏. Wesleyan Television, reaching out to the world.
Before say Ghana for you. Ya mamre ni ya manie energy.
Amamre. Free to take.
Ya mamre. Grantuma ya mamre. The say ya tadia ya mamre. Say ya Christophonis ya mamre ni ya mania. Na yesum na kwakwe ahohoso luti de manko bota kase susum ya brofodia na futisa yesu nyame wo ya mamre kwaso a yesu nyame se no wo ya mamre ya manie e kwaso ye kan ye babo no a ye tiase wo ya mamre ya manie e kwaso mani sai adwene bra na yenwene inside agony and function yame
All right, thanks for your patience. We are back, and this afternoon we are having a very important conversation that is bordering on the ambulance trial involving the minority leader in Parliament, Dr. 𝗟𝗓𝗓𝗘, as well as embattled businessman Richard Jalkwa. And the angle or dimension is basically the allegations against the Attorney General to the effect that he has been attempting to compel, or as it were, coerce Richard Jalkwa to falsify evidence to incriminate Dr. 𝗟𝗓𝗓𝗘 so that he's able to have his way in court. We've been speaking to 𝗟𝗵𝗲𝗓𝗘. George is a member of the NPP's National Communications team, as well as Sadat Haruna Hassan. He's a member of a civil society organization that is calling for the onward resignation of the Attorney General. All things being equal, we may have Bernard Mona joining us. We understand that we are not able to, as it were, establish contact with him now. George 𝗟𝗵𝗲𝗓, if you've reconnected with us, just before we went off, I was making the case that yes, you have argued that we should exhaust the appropriate channels or use the appropriate quarters to deal with issues of this nature. That point is clear, is well made. But we want to know, well, I understand George's call dropped. Hopefully we'll connect with him again. That means we have to stay with Sadat a bit more. Sadat, if your advocacy does not see the light of day, if your calls are not heeded, if the concerns that you are trumpeting do not, should I say, manifest, what more are you going to do apart from the press release that you have issued, joining other calls for the AG to be dismissed?
Yes, so we do all this, like as I indicated, to enrich our democracy. And we also do this to ensure that first as indicating some public office officials, because some engage in some acts and tend to rather underestimate the consequences of their acts. And so we are strongly advocating for the Attorney General in the interest of justice to honorably resign so as to restore dignity to the office in particular. Because the office, as I indicated, is not just the Attorney General, the Constitution also obligates him to be a Minister of State, as well as being the principal legal advisor to the government. And so these three critical things characterize the office of the Attorney General. And so if you are there and you cannot demonstrate a certain level of repute that's equivalent to that office, that means that there's something wrong. And like I said, you don't even need to be told in the week of such controversy. If you listen carefully to the audio recording, you clearly will reach the conclusion that the recording was not even done by a third-party device. It was done by the two parties engaged in that conversation, and clearly misled the minister of the fact, because he has actually brought this out, indicating even in court that he had evidence. And subsequently, they brought that out. And so it doesn't just end there. We have a responsibility sometimes to even bring particular individuals for conducting themselves in a manner that is not reflective of a true democratic state. And so we don't feel discouraged by whether or not the Attorney General resigns or not. We will continue to pursue our advocacy and our desire for proper democratic practice until the right things are done.
If the AG stays in office, if he stays in office and he does not resign, do you, in your opinion, think that it will in any way affect the outcome of the case? I mean, do you think his continuous stay in office would impact the eventual verdict?
If he stays in office, in our opinion, there's no way it will not affect the outcome of the case. And we must not advocate or advise a situation in our state where a matter in court that will easily give rise a certain verdict in the minds of the ordinary guy. No, that's not the case. These matters should be independent of political affiliations, whatever it is. Once the person is under prosecution in court, and the matter even relates to a criminal matter, And that's what people are losing sight of. Once it's a criminal matter, it means that somebody is becoming a potential candidate for jail. And that means that the liberty that you and myself we have currently enjoyed will simply be curtailed for some period of time. We should not encourage that. The outcome of every criminal prosecution should be one that is devoid of any form of prejudice, one that is devoid of any form of speculation. And so, if you are such a public official prosecuting such a matter, and you act in a manner or put yourself in a situation that will even give a certain impression to the defendant or the accused persons in custody, to think that they will not be given fair trial, that means that there's something wrong, and that should not be encouraged. And fair trial doesn't just mean once you appear in court and you have the opportunity to talk or to respond to whatever accusations are being given. It doesn't end there. That's not just the meaning of fair trial. The fair trial also means that the trial should be devoid of anything that would give such kind of thinking or reasoning to the defendant or the accused that I am not being given a fair trial or I am not treated in a manner that makes me feel comfortable in the way the proceedings are going. They all constitute fair trial. And so clearly, the accused by their conduct now are demonstrating to the whole world that they are no longer being given what fair trial, and that's why we are simply rising again. That situation should not arise. And so ideally, the whole proceedings or even trial will come to a stop. Right. And that's the point where we are making.
Right. So that I want to believe that you belong to the Ghana Bar Association, or you're a member in good standing. Is that a fact, or I got that wrong? I want to know.
I am. It's a well-established fact.
All right. All right. Now, as a member of the association, countlessly and on numerous occasions, consistently, the GBA has been described as very passive when relevant matters of this nature occur. For example, even in this particular case, I am yet to, I'm sure, and everybody for that matter, we are all yet to see a substantive release or comment from the GB, especially when a member of theirs has been called into questioning by way of, credibility and all of that. Do you agree with those who think that the GB has now become a political tool and it is no longer leaving to the billing? Do you share that sentiment as well?
Well, whatever probably sentiment people hold about the GBA, the simplest is the GBA probably conducting itself in a manner that gives right to the sufficient or to whatever impression that you hold against. Now, mind you, the GBA didn't start today. In countless leadership of the GBA, historically, and if you trace, you will see that some particular names keep coming up as individuals whose tenure as leaders of the bar recognize the need to uphold our own rules, our own ethical rules, jealousy. We are guided by rules. But we have our attitude guiding our conduct and our how we to deal with clients, how we to deal with ourselves as lawyers, how we to deal with the court, and how we should deal with even the general public. And so, if people are making this, probably raising these issues or concerns, it means that they have been living witnesses of what used to be the GBA in time past, and probably are now seeing what is happening now. The GBA should be the first to have actually come to make a statement on this, to the extent that it borders on the conduct of the Attorney General. Remember that the Attorney General is also the leader of the bar. And that's what even makes it more important that the GBA steps in here and then issue a statement, whether or not it supports the alleged conduct of the Attorney General or otherwise. And to also advocate for the fact that once such matters come up and they relate to a lawyer, and no need person, but a lawyer who happens to be the Attorney General and again the leader of the bar, we are dealing with a very serious matter. A serious matter in which the liberties of individuals are involved. Because Mr. Japa indicated this first and foremost in courtroom on the 23rd. If you attended court that day, you were attended in open court. He stated that And subsequently, in the NBC's press release, they played the tape, and the voice was very clear. Undoubtedly, the voice of the parties, having engagement or conversation between themselves, bordering on this issue of the ambulance case, suggesting to the witness what he would say in court. These are clear breaches of our own ethics. Our before 2023, and we have stated clearly that the Rule 13, 31, Rule 40 of our own LI, and then Rule 64. These are clear breaches, and we should not allow that to happen.
All right.
It's not so right. And to even suggest what a witness will go to court and say when indeed it doesn't exist. That's what we call an evidence, or a situation that does not exist, circumstances that does not exist. When you suggest the client to go to court, that constitutes a criminal offense. And when you go to Act 29, the criminal offense Act 1960, Act 29, you see Section 213 and Section 214. 213 tells you that when you suggest such a situation which does not exist to a witness, to say in court, that is a criminal offense. And 214 tells you what the details of what you may suggest.
But Sadat, I think your points have been well made. It appears we cannot get the rest of our other discussants on the line, and so we want to call it a wrap at this point. Your closing submissions before we finally draw down the curtains.
Yeah. So what we sort of say is that this is a matter that has a serious national interest, and because it borders on the liberties of individuals. The whole of Ghana is very much attentive to this. Mind you, the government has been also accused of probably not doing so well in terms of corruption and corruption-related cases. And so that naturally will bring so much attention to this case. And so the case must be one that will be prosecuted in a manner that every ordinary person seeing it will think that indeed this is the manner that is being prosecuted in a manner that can be said to have brought in all that is expected in a case that requires fair trial. And so, if it cannot be said that actually is in sync with what is required of a fair trial, then we have a problem. And that's why we're saying that the Honorable Minister should resign so as to pave way, pave a very clear way for matters to travel in a manner that will be devoid of being given the popular notion or impression that there's something amiss. It is now a case of the personal interest of the Attorney General in our view and the interest of the state. Because now we engaging a witness, who or an accused person who is represented. And mind you, the law is clear where the person is represented. To the best of our knowledge, given the record that we have. The chat between the Attorney General and Mr. Japa on the 9th of April 2022.
Yeah.
Given that, the third accused was represented. And so there was no way that the Attorney General knew so well that it was in contravention of clear provisions of our ethical rule to have engaged him at that point when he was represented without having to seek the consent or doing so through the lawyer of the represented accused person. Yeah, that's a clear breach of our ethical rule. We are seeing that the Honorable Minister should dignify their office by honorable resigning so that if the matter has to continue, then it continues. That is devoid of being given that type of lacking fair trial.
Right. It's unfortunate we were not able to bring Judge Sapon back into the conversation, but I'm sure from his preliminary comments, he would have disagreed with you on this particular call because, of course, that is the stance of the New Patriotic Party, that the tape in itself is doctored, and therefore not so much attention and premium should be placed on it. But Sadat, we are grateful that we're able to connect with you. Unfortunately, we could not have Bernard Mona due to technical issues. Sadat Haruna Ahassan is part of lawyers.
Is part of 1 minute on that. In respect of George's appreciation of what the Attorney General might have done in terms of saving Ghana some money, for which reason he was laying that foundation to suggest that he should not resign or whatever. That is not the ideal station.
That's not the point he made anyway. But that's not the point he made. I'm saying I'm just preempting his reaction to the course that you have made. But once again, it's been a pleasure having you. Sadat Haruna Ahassan is a lawyer, and he's part of Lawyers in Search of Democracy. It's been a full month of Christian-centered current affairs programming, and we are calling it a wrap in the month of May. Hopefully, on Monday, we'll meet you again in the month of June to serve you more. To all of us, all of you who have been giving us feedback, and to in-house staff, crew, and production, we are grateful. My name is Paa Kwesi Schandorf. As you get into the weekend, remember to always play safe. Wait, before I go, somewhere last week, Manchester United won the FA Cup. Manchester United fans are still in the celebrations anyway, and if you're a football lover, you have to be happy. Bye-bye.